Hello and welcome back. I'm Jacob Van Lunen.
And I'm Joey Pascal.
And we're here in Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, and we're covering the top 4 of the Star City Games Legacy Open here.
Yep.
We're about to bring you coverage of a top 4 match between Micah Greenbaum again, playing Agrolome, and he's playing against Ryan Paulik, who's playing Merfolk. In my opinion, this is a very good match for Agrolome.
Yeah.
We saw the Punishing Fire in Micah's deck, and it's going to be really, really rough if he assembles Punishing Fire Grove. The Merfolk player will have a really rough time dealing with that. Also, he's playing 4 colors, but there's no blue in those 4 colors. So the deck really doesn't have a lot of reach, the Merfolk deck, and the Tarmogoyfs and Knights will be big enough probably to carry this game home. That's my prediction.
Sounds right to me. I mean, I like that logic. Obviously, Merfolk is a very popular deck. We see a lot of that. Micah would not have brought Agrolome if it did not have a reasonable matchup against Merfolk.
Yeah.
So, there on the right we see Micah Greenbaum. You may recognize him from about 5 minutes ago when we had him in the had him under the camera. And there on the left, Ryan Paulik playing the Merfolk. Always a pretty safe choice. I mean,
neither of these players have lost a match so far today. They are the two players with the only 2 players left in this tournament with pristine records.
Yeah, Ryan actually first after the Swiss. First place after the Swiss, so.
He actually went X and 1 and didn't even have, or X and
0-1.
Yeah. Didn't have a single loss and
only 1 draw, which he drew into the top 8, I guess. So, Micah leads with a Mox Diamond.
Now, this is a very dangerous start for Ryan. If Micah has a Dark Confidant here, Ryan should be in a lot of trouble.
Micah gets a Forest off of the Windswept Heath.
Micah knows that Ryan's deck is packed full of wastelands, and he wants to make sure that Ryan can't put him off his blanks.
Yeah. And it looks like turn 1 Dark Confidant from Micah Greenbaum. That is very good.
It's brutal, and Mox Diamond doesn't require you to exile the land. It actually just makes you discard it. So he can just get that land right back with Life from the Loam.
Life from the Loam, Knights of the Reliquary also just get that little extra boost.
Micah will drop a 17. He reveals the Devastating Dreams. For those of you who weren't watching the last match, Devastating Dreams is a sorcery from Torment. It costs red, and you discard X cards from your hand, and then each player has to sacrifice X lands, and it deals X damage to each creature.
So Ryan did lead on about one of the better turn 1 plays for a Merfolk player, Aether Vial, but for Micah to have an active Dark Confidant is going to really make it an uphill battle for Ryan. And here we see, looks like Life from the Loam.
And that's going to return both of these lands if it resolves. And Micah's going to get to replay this fetch land.
Yep. Windswept Heath back on the table. Passes the turn. So Bob is not only drawing him cards, but he's also bringing the beats.
And what's really scary for Ryan is that if Mike actually gets to resolve that Devastating Dreams, which is difficult in this matchup,
especially considering Ryan knows he has it.
Yeah, he's going to have tons of cards because of that Loam engine.
Ryan can at least play around it a bit, knowing that it's there not only in his deck but in his hand. So, Mox Diamond off of Bob. Nice, friendly little gift there.
And that's
no pain.
That's another really nice card for him to get. He's already producing tons of card advantage with this Loam, and the card advantage he's producing is in the form of lands, which he can just discard, so that Mox Diamond is going to accelerate him a lot.
Yeah, nice bit of acceleration from Micah. He's got access to at least 5 mana this turn if he wants to play a land here, and he does. Could potentially go for a Devastating Dreams right here if he wanted, but I don't know if that's.
Ooh, but he has a Knight.
He wants Knight of the Reliquary.
Far more dangerous.
Yeah.
And
does that Knight resolve? Does it stick? Ryan, I don't know that Ryan has an answer for it anyway, so yeah. Looks like Knight resolves.
Yeah. Micah's going to sacrifice this fetch land, and he's going to go for another Life from the Loam. And if Ryan chooses to sacrifice the Curse Catcher to block that, then Mike's going to get a bash for another 2 with this Dark Confidant.
Yeah, is Ryan shouldn't still be at 20, right?
Yeah, I believe Ryan's actually at 18.
Yeah. It's all good. Just trying to keep it real and not fake life totals. Real life totals.
The realness of these life totals is scary.
That's right.
So here's
life totals is real.
Here's a life from the loam again, and I'm interested to see if he doesn't go for it. That would be very interesting, but I can't imagine he didn't go for it. Okay.
No.
Another curse catcher from Ryan.
I mean, the curse catchers at least make it more difficult for Micah to resolve that Devastating Dreams.
Yeah, and the Devastating Dreams is also a really scary card to play against people who have counterspells, because you have to discard the cards as an additional cost.
Wow, yeah, so you just lose those no matter whether it resolves or not, and that is pretty scary.
Yeah, and one of the things is about Aggro Loam is Aggro Loam beats control decks by outcarding them with cards like Loam. It beats creature decks with haymakers like Devastating Dreams. But Merfolk happens to be a creature deck with counterspells.
Yeah.
Which makes a card like Devastating Dreams kind of strange and awkward.
Right.
But the general strategy of Aggro Loam will allow him to pull ahead here. I actually haven't seen a Seismic Assault out of Micah's deck, so maybe he just doesn't even have that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't
He's
have
not
the
getting
list
a lot
here.
of red, and it's definitely a sign that he doesn't even have that in his deck.
So Ryan adds a Wasteland to the board. And,
Wasteland not very good against the Aggro Loam deck.
no, it's just going to be a colorless land, I think, for Ryan for this game. This
And
match, really.
Forgotten Cave, that will presumably cantrip for Micah. And now that Micah has the cycling land with the Life from the Loam, things can get really out of hand for him, card advantage-wise. So he's going to cycle this Forgotten Cave and draw a card. He can... I'm interested to see whether or not he decides he's going to attack with this knight, or if he wants to use the activated ability.
Yeah. Does not have Maze of Ith available to kind of do both. But,
Yeah, and the Punishing Fire, if that gets dredged, he can just return it back to his hand. So
yeah, not really that big of a deal. So it looks like he's attacking.
yeah, so this Throne of the Reliquary is going to come in, and Ryan's going to tank for a little bit because the knight's only a 5/5 and has access to being a 6/6 because of the Wooded Foothills.
Yep, and there he goes. 6/6 knight.
If Ryan tapped the Vial and put a Lord into play, he could actually triple block the knight and kill it, which, while it seems terrible, is about as good as it gets when you're trying to beat a knight as Merfolk.
Yeah, he doesn't really have any other better answers for something like that.
Unless he has Sowers, which I'm not sure
Yeah,
about.
that's right. And but if he does, I mean, probably more likely to be sideboard cards than main deck.
Yeah, it's
So-
rare for a Merfolk deck to have a Sower main, and usually if it does, it's a one-off.
Right. So
Life from the Loam comes down, and that's going to return. Ooh, what? He only returned one land.
yeah, he's just trying to keep that knight really big. Kind of interesting choice, but we are getting the deck lists, by the way. And a second Dark Confidant from Micah. Ryan lacking answers to any of these threats that Micah's presenting.
Yeah. Now,
And is that a
Lord of Atlantis.
Lord of Atlantis? Is that just like the 7th edition
Yes,
foil?
7th edition foil,
That
Lord of
one
Atlantis.
just never looks right to me.
Yeah.
What
from,
is that?
From this far away, it kind of looks like this gelatinous goo.
Yeah. Is that Metamorphose? So, actually, now we have a look at the lists here.
Okay.
No one of
And,
Sower.
No
Not
one
main.
of Sower.
Just one of Sower in the sideboard, though.
He does, however, have 2 copies of Phyrexian Metamorph.
Yes,
Kind of
main deck.
interesting.
That is kind of interesting. He's got back to basics in the board.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that too.
I'm interested to see what Ryan's line of play is here, because I think if he starts to play a lot of guys, he gets another Lord.
Yeah, that's
and that
Mirror
puts him out of
Rejury.
range. Ooh, and
plays a
another one.
second Mirror Rejury, tapping down Dark Confidant. Lots of Lords out there. 3 Lords in play right now for Ryan.
These are all 4/4s. This is Volt damage. That's a lot. Now, if Ryan has a counterspell for the Devastating Dreams that's about to come down, then he's going to be in great shape.
Yeah, seriously.
And he needs to have a Force of Will and a blue card, though. Micah will definitely have mana to pay for a daze.
So, chump block with Bob, number 2.
Yeah.
And take 8.
He's going to take 8, and this will drop him down to 7.
Now, Ryan knows that Devastating Dreams is there, so there's a cycled Forgotten Cave.
Yeah, now I'm surprised that cycled Forgotten Cave did not dredge a Life of the Loam. Ooh, and that Confidant is dealing Micah some serious beats right now. So, when Micah chooses to draw instead of using his Loam Dredge again, I'm again somewhat surprised by this. I think Micah just has to go for the Devastating Dreams at this point. There are a few things that he could try to do, but if all right, so yeah, if he had dredged the Loam, then he would be able to go up to enough cards where he could Devastating Dreams and still have a hand, but he's going to attack with both of these. Ryan's thinking a bit.
Yeah, I don't see Seismic Assault in the list, by the way. Taking a look at Micah's list here, no Seismic Assault.
Yeah.
Not easy to see there on the screen, but.
And now, I'm surprised he chose to attack before going for the Devastating Dreams. I think if he guessed Devastating Dreams and left himself with a Net of the Reliquary, it would probably be big enough to kill Ryan in one attack.
Yeah, that's a good point. Unless he does not want to go for the Devastating Dreams, but
I don't see how else he could possibly win this game, though. And, I mean, it's not likely that Ryan has a force. I mean, he had many, many good force targets already in this game.
right.
So, I mean, it's also unlikely that he has a blue card to go with it, considering how much he's dumped on the table right now.
Yeah, does he have exactly 2 cards in hand? Or I mean, he just dumped a ton of guys on the table just last turn, so I can't imagine he has many cards in hand.
Yeah.
So, double block the with the Rejuries on the Knight of the Reliquary.
Okay. And, Micah's going to be kicking himself now that he chose to play this hand this way. So now he won't have the Knight post Dreams.
Yeah,
This does mean that he only has to Devastating Dreams for 3 instead of 4, though. And then he could leave himself with a Knight in hand and the 3 mana to cast it post. Alright, so Micah marks Ryan down to 10 life. And here comes Devastating Dreams.
How big is that Knight?
I'm a bit confused.
Yeah, me too, because if he double blocked with Mirror Rejuries, One of them should be dead, right? I'm a bit confused. Yeah. Is Devastating Dreams an instant?
It is. I don't think it is.
It's a sorcery, so
Yeah, I'm
what
confused
in
as
the
to what
world
just
was that
happened.
about? Well, whatever it's about, we're going to game 2. And I'm guessing Micah took game 1.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to tell. Both players scooping everything up due to Devastating Dreams, and then both players scooping everything up to go to game 2.
Yeah.
So a little bit tough to tell.
Yeah,
Looked
Micah
like
with that loam engine is just gonna do really well.
It's at Ryan scooped. Okay, so
All right, so
figured that, but it was just very, very strange. It looked like Ryan was kind of getting back into that game.
yeah. Well, I mean, after that Devastating Dreams resolves, he has no permanence in play.
Yeah.
And Micah has access to drawing 2 to 3 cards a turn because he had double cycling land with loam, and he also had
Right.
the 2 Mox Diamonds, so he could just continue casting his loam over and over again. So he's in a situation where his opponent has essentially 2 lands to tap for any color of mana at the beginning of the game, and is drawing 2 to 3 cards a turn, while he has 2 cards left in hand and no lands in play. So it's a pretty rough spot.
Seems
I think
rough,
it's
yeah.
I think it's all right to scoop, but I probably would have played it out. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, you're not timed in the top 4, but I guess I appreciate the consideration.
Yeah.
Like, I guess if you're pretty sure you're going to lose, you may as well go to play at a reasonable pace and go to game 2 if it
I'd
doesn't
say there
look
was
like
a
he wants to.
99.99% chance that Micah was going to win that one.
Okay. I can see that logic. After that resolved Devastating Dreams, I want to keep calling it Devastating Summons. That's an entirely different card.
Ryan's terrified of the Grove combo, so
Yeah.
I'm just shaking his head when he looked at the list, like, looking at his friends, like, can you possibly believe this? There's no way I could ever beat this deck.
So, we are actually about to give away 6 months of
6
free
months
premium.
of premium.
So I've got a question for you guys, and if you haven't done this before, what we do, we'll ask you a question. You send us your answer on Twitter, your answer and your Star City Games username. Make sure to include both. You send that to @SCG Live with the hashtag SCG Premium. Again, you send in your answer and your Star City username. So I'll wait until this announcement.
So you're going to need to include your Star City Games username so that we know who to apply the 6 months onto the account for. Now, something that's pretty cool, it's June 26th today, so 6 months from today is the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
Which means that, if you've enjoyed Premium, you can just ask for Premium for Christmas after these 6 months.
There you go.
And then,
You're all set.
you can just continue on with your way.
That's right. All the way.
That's
up
right.
to,
You'll have Premium until Christmas. We're giving you like a pre-Christmas present.
That's right.
So if you know the answer to this question,
All right, you guys ready? The question is, okay. Well, the first question was about who won the Star City Open in Baltimore, and that was Ali Antrazi.
yep,
Ali was playing an interesting deck in Legacy as well.
yeah.
What card was Ali Antrazi using to go infinite and take infinite turns in his Turboland Legacy deck?
Yeah, and there were a few cards involved in taking infinite turns, but we're asking which
What
specific card
one
says
card.
take an extra turn
Right.
and allowed him to go infinite. It's a very specific card.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting choice. So, what card was Ali Antrazi using to take infinite turns in his Turboland Legacy deck today?
A clue, the deck's name was a
What?
Johnny Cash reference.
That's true. Yeah.
That's a good clue.
We called it Turboland. Ali had a different name for it.
Yeah.
So tweet your answer at SCG Live. Include the hashtag SCG Premium. Again, your answer, of course, and your SCG username, so that we can apply the winnings right to your account. So these guys look like they're just shuffling up for game 2. Wonder how they sideboard. I have the deck lists here. Let me bring that up.
I mean, if Micah's Aggro Loam, I imagine he has a common card in their sideboard would be like Red Elemental Blast or Pyroblast.
Right, we already saw him digging through those.
Okay,
yeah.
So
Okay, let's look at Micah's sideboard. He's got Choke, not relevant. Leyline of the Void, not relevant. Retribution of the Meek. I don't even remember what that does.
Choke's fine. I
Oh,
mean,
Choke's good. Wait a minute, I'm thinking backwards. Yeah, Choke's definitely relevant.
I don't think you bring in Choke here though. It's weird. Like Choke, you would expect it to be good against a deck like Merfolk that plays so many islands, but Choke is most effective against the control blue decks.
Yeah.
Like, Choke like absolutely crushes decks like blue-white control, the landstill decks. It's going to be huge against those control decks.
Right.
However, against Merfolk, they have access to Vial.
Yeah, it's not really as powerful. What is Retribution of the Meek? I recognize the name, but I don't remember what it does. I'm gonna look it up.
I think okay, so it destroys all. It costs 2 white, and I'm pretty sure it destroys all creatures of power 4 or greater. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and they cannot be regenerated. It buries them.
Okay, it buries them. That sounds good. Pulverize, Red Elemental Blast, Perish, Devastating Dreams, like one more copy, a Tormod's Crypt, and a Nomad Stadium.
Ooh, a Nomad Stadium.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in forever.
Trying to remember what that does as well. Sounds very like Onslaught era, but
yeah,
I don't even
it's the Barbarian Ring for white.
yeah.
Okay, so
Onslaught,
it
that's what I was
taps and it deals a damage to you, and it taps for white mana, and you can sacrifice it to gain 4 life if you have Threshold.
Okay.
That may not seem good, but Aggro is a deck that can acquire Threshold very quickly if it wants to, and because it's capable of just chaining lands in and out of play so quickly, against red decks you can just gain 4 life a turn with it, and that makes it really hard to burn you out.
Yeah, actually, that seems really good.
You also tutor for it with your Neither Reliquary, so it's a nice one-of that really helps your red matchup.
Looking at the Merfolk list, he does have 1 Sower and 2 Back to Basics. Could be spicy.
The Sower will be really good here.
It's also
the
got
Back to Basics will
Submerge.
be huge.
Submerge
Also huge in this type of matchup.
pretty big, yeah. He's got Chalice of the Void, Lawan, Umezawa's Chite, and Dismember. Could
Do we
bring
know
in,
how many copies of Punishing Fire Micah has in his deck? Can we look at that?
I can find out.
Okay.
Just 2.
Just 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if he draws a single one of those, I can't envision a world where Ryan could win the match.
Yeah, it's really rough.
And even Back to Basics, while strong against Micah's deck, Micah does have basics. He does know how to fetch his basics to dodge cards like Wasteland, and he also is capable of just playing cards like Mox Diamond and dodging it entirely.
So, game is underway. Micah has a Wooded Foothills, and Ryan has led with a Curse Catcher. Wasteland for Ryan. Into a Silvergill Adept, revealing Coral Helm Commander.
Okay. So, Ryan went to draw his card, and Micah stops him. Micah's going to counter a spell. Micah says, Red Spell Snare.
Yeah, that's really good card. I mean, so many blue decks.
Taiga?
Yeah. So many blue decks in Legacy that are very popular. Red Elemental Blasts, very good against them.
Yeah, Red Elemental Blast is definitely one of the best sideboard cards in the format. Premier sideboard
For
card
sure.
Here. So Submerge. We're seeing 2 of the best sideboard options in Legacy fight each other right now.
So there is the Red Elemental Blast from Micah for Ryan's turn 2 Silvergill Adept. Interesting. I mean, it's good enough that Drew Levin actually splashed red just for that, just for blasts, Hydro Blasts, and Red Elemental Blasts in his sideboard.
I mean, it seems completely reasonable to me. Paul Cheon played a similar deck to what Drew has been playing recently at Worlds a few years back in the team portion, and he did very well just splashing red for Red Elemental Blasts.
So Micah has a Mox Diamond and a Tarmogoyf, I think. Oh, yeah, Tarmogoyf. In his hand he has Burning Wish, Vindicate, Red Elemental Blast. So, pretty good shape with that second blast.
Yeah, having a few removal spells like that can be really strong against Merfolk. The Tarmogoyf is big enough that the Silvergill Adept is not really going to have an option to attack here. An Aether Vial comes down for Ryan, and Ryan's going to go ahead and wasteland that Taiga away. Micah's probably not too worried about that. He got that knowing it was liability. Micah's going to turn this Goyf sideways and get him for 3 points of damage, putting Ryan down to 17. Plays a Tranquil Ticket and passes back to Ryan. Ryan puts the Vial at 1, and he's going to get in for at least 2 here, making the life total 17 up. And let's see what he has to offer post-combat. Nothing. He's going to pass the turn. And that probably means he has some semblance of a counter magic in his hand.
So, Tarmogoyf looks like it's about to crash in. Thinks he wants to crack a Wooded Foothills first. So, trying to decide what he wants to grab with that Foothills.
He did bring in the Choke.
Okay, yeah, that's right. It's sitting right there.
Surprises me, actually. I don't,
still may be relevant, but yeah, the Vial makes things a little more awkward.
Yeah, the deck also just doesn't have that many islands. So, and once they tap them once, they're killing you quick if they're killing you at all. It's not. The whole reason Choke's good is because they're playing a control game, and they just can't continually use their resources.
And taps 3 for Vindicate on the Aether Vial.
So,
Ryan
if this resolves, Ryan's going to be hindered a great deal, and his resources will be all but over.
Yeah, Ryan has the opportunity here to just play a 1-drop, but that's about the best he can do if he can't counter that Vindicate.
Yeah, and Mike can be pretty confident that he doesn't have a Curse Catcher because he had a few opportunities in which he would have played that.
Yeah.
So, Micah's looking at a Daze. Oh, or a Force of Will.
Removing Kira Great Glass Spinner.
Yeah, and that's pretty good for Micah. Getting a Force of Will out of Ryan's hand is really strong when you're playing a deck that has access to haymakers in the creature matchup like Devastating Dreams. And he will have access to Devastating Dreams if he wants it because he does have a Burning Wish in his hand. Likely that Burning Wish is going to be grabbing a Life from Alumna for next turn.
Seems like Micah has a really good plan right now. Nice kind of clear lines of play. Ryan uses the Vial to pop a Coral Helm Commander into play and level it with his island after attacking in with the Silvergill Adept.
And Micah's going to go ahead and cycle a Forgotten Cave. Just throws him into a Tarmogoyf. He attacks for another 3, dropping Ryan down to 9. Oh no, it's 4 now. So
yeah, so
it's going to drop him down to 8.
Drop him down to 8, and a second Tarmogoyf making that.
Tarmogoyf makes an appearance. Yeah.
Doubling that clock. Making things really awkward for Ryan because obviously he does not want to be blocking. He wants to be attacking.
It's hard when your opponent's guys are larger.
Yeah. And he has to Force of Will, removing Submerge.
Yeah.
Seems,
That's surprising to me. I think Submerge is valuable enough to just
I mean, I guess Micah doesn't currently control a forest, so that submerge is not free.
Oh yeah, the Tranquil thicket.
Yeah, Ryan
Oh,
wastelanded.
Micah has intentionally not gotten forest after that taiga, right?
Yeah, I
That's
think
pretty
so.
interesting.
It is. It's
tight play.
Right. I mean,
So sick.
If it was intentional, that's a really tight play. Yeah. Ryan wastelanded that taiga, and now that Micah stranded the submerge in his hand, so he has to use it to remove, use it to force the second Tarmogoyf, rather than using it to just put the Tarmogoyf on top. Especially good when you can submerge in response to somebody's fetch land activation, make them shuffle away their creature.
Micah's going to attack Ryan for another 4 here. Creature, instant, land, sorcery.
Lord of Atlantis gets in the way of that Tarmogoyf.
And Micah's going to probably... Oh, he's going to cycle this first.
Cycle of Forgotten Cave.
Micah's actually playing really well. He clearly has some experience with this deck.
And Red Elemental Blast targets that Coral Helm Commander for Ryan and knocks that away from the board. Puts that in the graveyard. Ryan now left with Aether Vial and Silvergill Adept and 2 islands. Micah has Mox Diamond, Tarmogoyf, Plateau, and Tranquil Thicket.
And that's a punishing fire.
Oh, so Tarmogoyf bashing in for several points of damage here.
It's going to drop Ryan down to 3.
Yeah.
And Micah's just going to pass. He has a knight in hand, but I feel like he'd rather just sit on this punishing fire. I might have played the knight that way. Even if Ryan does draw a guy and play it, you can just kill one of the 2 guys and kill the next turn.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know how much it matters. Micah's going to drop down to 3 here. And Ryan's going to go ahead and
Drops a Curse Catcher into play.
Ryan's going to cast a Punishing Fire, targeting the Curse Catcher.
Yep.
And
that could be the match. There it is.
there it is.
Micah
Greenbaum
Yeah.
continuing his undefeated streak with Aggro Loam, making it all the way to the finals of this Legacy Open event. That's really exciting.
Really exciting, really impressive. Like you said, really tight play. Not giving his opponent the opportunities to submerge, to use submerge for free by just deliberately keeping forests off the table. Seems really, really strong. I mean, you mentioned submerge being one of the most powerful sideboard cards in the format, and the definitely very good in this matchup. And Micah just cuts off that entirely until 5 mana. Yeah, until Ryan had 5 mana, which was just not likely. So,
yeah, it's a really, really good deck. It's something we haven't seen in a long time. Devastating Dream is an unbelievably powerful spell, and Life of the Loam also an unbelievably powerful spell. Life of the Loam has been seen in a lot of control decks as of late, but it's Aggro Loam is like directly referring to the fact that you're an aggressive deck playing Life of the Loam.
Absolutely,
and that's something that people can't really handle a lot of the time.
Yeah,
like when you're backing up a level like a legacy level aggression with a card advantage engine as strong as Life of the Loam, and I'll maintain that it is the best card advantage engine in the format. Like if you have a way to use it effectively,
right.
it is the best card advantage engine, and I mean that was widely accepted back when Aggro Loam was like a major deck, and I guess it's the best for. I guess that's kind of an intense statement because Jace is almost certainly a better card.
Yeah, but
as far as pure card advantage goes, like Jace is not as good at creating card advantage as Life of the Loam.
Okay,
Jace is better as a card because it not only is it a card advantage engine, but it can also like bounce creatures and kill opponents.
It's got a lot of versatility besides drawing cards. Besides brainstorming every turn, it could also bounce a guy or fate seal you.
Loam is just an Ancestral Recall every turn.
Yeah, that's all. Not not that good.
But you also have to pay the 2 mana every turn, so
Right.
it ties you up.
So we have a winner for 6 months of free Star City Games Premium. Magic Power 9, congratulations. Joshua Yeri on Twitter, or Magic Power 9 is his Twitter name. Congratulations, you win 6 months of Star City Games Premium for the answer. What was the card that Ali Anchazi was using to take infinite turns in his Turboland Legacy deck this morning? And that was Walk the Eons. Take an extra turn with buyback. And with that much mana, you take an extra turn with buyback, just do it every turn. So I think Ali called the deck Walk the Line. So that, Ali, we don't know what the story was. I don't know if he dropped after his second loss or what, just wanted to take it easy. Figured he couldn't top 8, but did actually see him shortly after we were talking about having not seen them for most of the day. I did see him walking around, so he was here until, I guess, fairly recently. But would love to see one of his articles. I know he writes for Star City, so we may be able to see a deck list from him and maybe some more thoughts on it and maybe some updates on the deck. I know he's excited to brew Standard, so we're certainly going to see some sort of
definitely going to keep in touch with him as far as new
Yeah.
Standard testing goes.
Likely.
Magic Power 9 actually helped us earlier.
Yeah,
He
gave us
sent a message.
some sort of answer. I recognize the
Yeah.
username. I can't remember.
I
what
don't
the
remember
topic
what
was.
it was in particular, but I do remember you helped us out earlier. So,
Yeah, so
cool.
definitely, yeah.
Karma, what goes around.
Absolutely.
Nice guy, getting free premium now.
Yeah.
Gets free premium until the day after Christmas. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean,
and then you're going to be so disappointed about losing your premium after Christmas, but you have all these presents to make it like cheer you up.
Right.
And because you have all these presents, you just got bought all these new clothes and stuff. Now you have all these like expenses that you don't have to worry about because you just got all this free stuff.
You just
so
buy some premium, right?
Buy some premium.
Right,
Just
Christmas
extend
money.
It,
Auntie Sally just gives you $30, and there's your premium. Whoever Auntie Sally
stuff.
is. So we're gonna find out. Do we know anything about the updates from the other matches? We're gonna find that out. Okay. So
We're about to bring you guys coverage of the other semifinal match that's going on right now. This has been a great day, though. We've had a lot of interesting decks. We have what is one of the most interesting decks in the finals right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, Ken Adams' deck was awesome, but this guy's deck is, I'd say it might be more off the radar.
well, yeah, off the radar for sure. I mean, Ken Adams' deck was kind of a rogue deck.
Yeah, it's
but
like an original
wasn't,
thing
Yeah,
also,
original rogue
yeah.
deck. Fairly straightforward, though. I mean, it had a lot of great synergy and everything, but it wasn't confusing. There was no crazy cards in the deck that required judge calls or anything. Just pretty straightforward. Aggressive deck with a combo and access to another combo. But this deck, this aggro loam deck, is definitely one that people are just not familiar with, as you were saying, and so that could really have worked to his advantage to get him to this situation. So.
Yeah, and again, for those of you interested in this deck, Agrolome, it fares very well against control decks, very well against creature-based strategies, and it has a horrible time fighting combo decks. That's one of the most difficult things for him. So if he's fighting Reanimator in the finals, he's going to have some trouble.
We're looking.
But
Trying to get
I don't
some
know.
info here. Looking for our standings page. Oh, here it is. I was looking over what you had, and I had it covered up over here. So, not standings, pairings. So, we're getting John and Dave. So, John Winters and David Shields fighting to see who's going to go to the finals. They're going into game 2.
We're in game 2 right now, so we didn't miss much. We only missed one game.
Now this matchup is Stoneblade versus Blue-White Landstill. So two very similar decks, the difference being just the Stoneforge Mystic Batterskull package. So we'll see.
I mean, it should be interesting. The pure control deck does really well against a lot of other things, but Stoneforge Mystic is a card that's just super strong against any sort of control strategy. So you can play that on turn 2, and it's a lot like playing a Bitter Blossom. They really have to have a swords right there, and then even if they do have the swords, then you've already picked up a threat.
Yeah.
So
Batterskull able to just hang out and wait until it can actually be cast in a normal way without the Stoneforge Mystic. It's still very, very, very good. So we saw that in Standard too. Bant Blade decks to taking Birds of Paradise, using like Lotus Cobra Birds of Paradise just
Using
to
mana
accelerate their
acceleration
mana,
to, get an
so that they can
advantage
play
there.
Batterskull just for 5 mana. And
Yeah, it works out really well. One of the big things is that people know they have to kill the Stoneforge Mystic, and if you're also ramping up to 5, then they end up these awkward spots where you have a Lotus Cobra and a Stoneforge Mystic in play, and